The year is 2004. It's a year many would consider peak for gaming. See, around the world, players are celebrating the action of Half-Life 2, the addictive new world of Warcraft, and the death of Ronald Reagan. During this time, however, something far stranger has been germinating in the background of the internet. See, in June of this year, a small title by the name Yume 2kki is quietly dropped onto Japanese forums, and is this bizarre game about exploring dreams, where the only thing that's really separating you from these gorgeous set pieces, voids of candles, and is simply how much you wish to explore. However, this is not a video on Yume 2kki. Because you see, for as impressive as Yume 2kki's sheer scale and oddness is at points, and for how influential it's turned out to be, it's still a game made by one person, with one copy of RPG Maker and presumably an endless supply of Ambient. And because of that, a majority of the game's interesting content can be viewed in about 5 to 10 hours. But imagine if a game in this style was made by 2 people. What about 10? What if an entire community banded together to create something far larger? Okay, genuinely, where the shit am I? Far stranger. An experience I've never gotten from any game else in my life. Let's talk about Yume 2kki. Guys, I think this area is under construction. Okay, so fast forwarding 3 years to 2007, and fans of Yume 2kki have been collaborating together like drug-addicted Ultron to create Yume 2kki, which, to be blunt, is a top-down 2D game exploring the dreams of main girlie Orchestra, who, when beginning the game, refuses to leave her apartment or do much at all. You can stare out over the balcony, play a few cute video games, get 15 free spins, but like most oppressive episodes, there'll eventually be nothing left to do but go to sleep, only to wake up in her apartment again, now with the ability to enter the Nexus, this looping void, littered with numerous shapes and symbols, each representing a different dream world you'll be teleported to if you interact with them. Which begs the question, really, what are you actually supposed to do in Yume 2kki? Well, the short answer is, collect 35 hidden items called effects, scattered deep into the dream worlds, drop them off here, and find some endings. Long answer. What am I supposed to do with this information? I unironically feel at peace here. Well, that's a little more complicated. But to understand that, we need to make a distinction firstly about what this game is and what this game isn't. Yume 2kki, by the way, it's still referred to as Yume 2kki over in Japan because ni means to. It's a pun on words, but I'm going to be referring to this as Yume 2kki for the rest of this video and probably the rest of my godforsaken life. Is primarily a game about exploration and a game about getting lost in atmosphere. To be blunt, if you're after a fast-paced game, if you're after a story-focused game, if you're after a game that doesn't have this motherfucker in it, this may not be for you. However, if you're after a journey drenched in surrealism, a vast world to explore, or if this gentleman simply intrigues you, you might want to stick around. So I'm just gonna rattle off a couple of reasons why I think this game's amazing, and then you'll learn more about the game while I do so. F***ing cool. Reason number 1, this game is fantastic. The contents of it, aka the dream worlds, are one of a kind and amazing. Yes, the contents of this game. They're amazing. Now, the point here is these are dream worlds. They're large, they're varied, and they're extremely difficult to generalize. You see, on the one hand, there are worlds that you could feasibly see in real life. Apartments, forests, libraries, mazes made of intestines. Ew. These are then contrasted with areas that are just a little more fantastical, but still operate within the world of fiction, leaving just the worlds that don't make any sense. Now, being a collaborative game, the quality and tone of each world is going to vary greatly, but the one constant is, wherever you are, there's always something waiting for you. Whether it's just encountering a set piece that catches you off guard,
Yo, shut the f up, it's bathroom time.
or running into that one guy you knew from high school.
Right.
You're never more than a room or two away from witnessing something that'll just stop you in your tracks and make you go, huh. And this is all animated in a pixel art style that, despite how occasionally rudimentary it is, works so well in creating this one-of-a-kind atmosphere. It's this compressed, old internet look that I honestly just can't get enough of. Almost makes you feel like you're exploring a forgotten message board, or you've somehow been teleported to a website from 2005. It's a game that visually stands out by doing a lot with a little. Not feeling dated, but feeling like a preserved cast of a world that just doesn't exist anymore. Like, take this scene, which is from the Stingray Skies world. And yes, it's extremely simple, and hell, if you wanted to be reductive, you could literally look at this and just go, yeah, look mate, that's just a JPEG of the sun, honestly, go outside and stare at the real one, it's better mate. But when I first reached this world, I was legitimately transfixed. So many times while playing this game, I just found myself existing in these worlds for longer than I needed to. You then add to that the soundtrack, which are a mix of ambient loops and some occasional composed pieces, and these worlds gain a spacey and cerebral quality. And all of these worlds, they flow and they mesh together, which, considering how strange some of these areas actually are, really makes these worlds feel like genuine dreams. I don't know, maybe I'm just tragically deficient in REM sleep, but my dreams are always winding and non-linear. They're never just set in one place, they're abstract and continually shift, much like Yume 2kki's worlds. And compared to the typical video game dream sequence, which I usually feel just exists as plot development, these are aesthetic, unknowable, and twisting webs of worlds. These well and truly feel like proper dreams. So much so, in fact, that I would even go as far as to say that Yume 2kki is video game's best depiction of dreams, point blank, period. Oh, what the hell. But do you know what else is realistic to dreams? Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. Yes, as comes with the territory, where there are dreams, so shall there be nightmares. And as phonetically lazy as it sounds, nightmarish is maybe the most apt description I can give of what this game frequently is. And I love it. Because I don't care where you were or how peaceful the last world you're in was, at any moment this game will just say, fuck you, and then slap something horrible down at your feet like your cat walking into your living room with some random dude's hand in its mouth. Right, so I've been told by a friend that I'm to use the telephone effect on this lovely, very tall gentleman. Where are we? That particular friend in question can apparently go f*** himself. And that's not to say that this game is perpetually rated R for really violent, or that every second room is something abjectly upsetting in it, but there's a lot of places here that just don't make you feel very safe. There's an unease to Uritsuki's dream that constantly sticks with you. It's the harsh atmosphere, the dark hallways, this droning soundtrack. It's all so tense, all the way up until... yeah. To be honest, the best comparison I can give of this game is honestly Bean Boozled. You know, you remember those packets of jelly beans where they're all the same color, but they got a chance of being different flavors? You know, 50-50 chance the green jelly bean might be tropical pear, or could be fortified uranium. And that's kind of what you're working with here in Yume 2kki. A chaotic, pixelated box of chocolates. A land where there's 1,001 places to visit. Some memorable, some trembleable, because scary, and pretty much everything in between. It's a game where the point is to go out and see what you can find. And I just so happen to find what's here. Pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool.
reason number 2 this game rules. Its massive sense of scale really aids in what the game is trying to do. Oh.
Right, so exploration games. The point here is you're exploring things. So unless you're the type that finds spiritual fulfillment from scouring your bedroom carpet for something to smoke, ideally, you'll want a big area to explore. And Yume 2kki is that ideal. See, in the Nexus, there's 18 dream worlds that act as starting off points for what I would consider a run. Each world you go into can vary in size and quantity of flesh monster,
Yeah, right?
but usually each has one or more funky looking objects that'll then take you into deeper dream worlds and so on. For instance, at the start of this run, I'll enter the Goddess world from the Nexus and follow this purple archway leading me to the Dark Room. Going down and to the right leads me to the sewers and eventually Japantown, where I'll proceed to take the back alleyway into the hotel, where I can teleport to the closet, pinwheel path, and eventually the train tracks.
Oh, what the hell?
What this example fails to illustrate, however, is that this archway was one of 4 different exits I could have taken from the Goddess world. And in the Dark Room, the sewers was one of 7 different exits I could have taken. And that's just from one Nexus world. Theoretically, there are thousands of individual experiences you could have with this game. And while that sounds a little bit intimidating, yeah, truthfully, it's kind of scary. For the type of game that Yume 2kki is, having such a large scale actually means that it does a number of key things really, really well. Firstly, for an exploration game focused on experience, it means that you're almost certain to find something that resonates with you on some level. You don't like this area? Reset and find somewhere else to explore. Does this guy piss you off?
I don't like that.
Find a beautiful set piece instead. There's plenty for you here if you're willing to look, which is fantastic because it also means that no one person is going to have the exact same playthrough here. Each person who enters the Nexus may be interested in different worlds. Their sensibilities may lead them towards different objects or inspire them to follow one path and not the other. One person might play until they reach one of the endings, another one might go overboard and collect literally everything, and yet another could simply play for a couple hours, and all 3 would leave with a satisfying experience. Which is why I'm making such a point to highlight the scale of this game. With how big it is, every playthrough is unique to you. You're gonna find your own way around here, and it means there is no wrong way to play this game. And for this type of exploration game, I kind of love that. And I think now would also be a good time to point out that despite the fact that this game was released 18 years ago, yes, 2007 is 18 years ago, I'm Afraid of the Dark 2, The Abyss is coming for me too, and we all have less time than we think we do. This game is actually still receiving regular contributions and updates from its community, so if you've already played the game, you might come back and find something new. And I think that's pretty cool. And I also find the next segment pretty cool. Cut the music. I don't particularly feel like transitioning my segment spot, but this... Reason number 3 that this game rules. But before we can reach point number 3, I've got a couple of things to discuss. So your in-game objective here is you're searching for effects, right? These are overworld items Yuretsuki can pick up either finding them on the ground or speaking to a specific NPC, and typically these are just cosmetic. Equipping the Twin Tails effect gives Yuretsuki different hair, the drum effect replaces her body with an oil drum, simple stuff.
Also, just to be A1 with you gentlemen, you're not finding all of these effects on your own. Half of them are in really hard to find places, and a bunch of them require like specific combinations of effects and stuff like that. So just go on the Yume 2kki wiki. It's easy enough. Just find the effects on the wiki.
So at this point, after looking at all of the various effects, all of these ever-changing worlds, it may become lost on you, but this is still in fact one character's dreams. Which begs the question, why is Uratsuki dreaming all of this? There are endings to this game, right? So what does any of this actually mean? But before I get to that, just a quick content warning. So, Yume 2kki is very obviously a spiritual successor to Yume 2kki, a game in which, upon finding all effects, main character Madatsuki ends the game by stepping out onto the balcony and intentionally jumping off, leading the majority of players to suspect that the story of Yume Nikkian Why it leans so heavily into disturbing territory is as a result of traumas experienced in Madatsuki's life. These in-game events and dreams correlating to just whatever has happened to her, ending the game on a morbid and despondent note. Now, why I felt the need to include any of this is because to find what I believe to be the story of Yume 2kki, it was important to understand the game it was based on, and crucially, how different it is from its predecessor. You see, the original Yume 2kki was the sole expression of one creator. It's one vision, has one ending, and tonally is far darker when compared to Yume 2kki, which comparatively is a game with a far greater yield of brighter areas to explore, has multiple endings, and most importantly, is the result of a fan base that created the game out of love and respect for its source material. Because despite how dark and low-key Yume 2kki was, people really got a lot out of that game. Maybe they saw themselves in it, related to it somehow, or just got lost in its aesthetics and world. Whatever that case may be, it's this admiration that really shines through in Yume 2kki, and importantly, changes the outcome of its endings. Which, back to those, Yume 2kki doesn't end anywhere near as morbidly as Yume 2kki does. There's a couple of main endings here, all of which you can view online, but the one that I wish to highlight and the one that I feel is generally considered canon is one where upon finding all effects, Urotsuki walks out onto the steps much like in Yume 2kki, but instead of jumping, throws the steps away, ending the game by stepping out of her apartment and into the real world. Meaning, in my estimation, the story of Yume 2kki is one of overcoming traumas and not letting them overcome you. It's a game about being able to shift through and explore the halls of one's life, the good, the bad, the scary, not denying the existence of one's suffering, but allowing yourself to work through it, which I find to be a really powerful sentiment to end the game on, and one that just reflects Yume 2kki's brighter nature and I guess its status as a collaborative project. And I don't know, I just find that really cool. Which, actually, on that, you see, when making this video, I really thought about it. You know, Yume 2kki being a fan-made project and also being a game about quite literally exploring dreams. And when I did, something far stranger began to unravel. Because now we know what the intended story of Yume 2kki is, I want you to look at the game like this and just stick with me here, okay? See, if you think about it, all of these dream worlds that you can explore are not only the character Urotsuki's in-game dreams, but the literal creations of an actual real-life person.
Which is like, duh, obviously.
But for that to be the case, it means that for each world that exists in Yume 2kki, a separate person must have, in their own life, come across Yume 2kki, had their own experience with it, and fallen in love with it enough to eventually contribute to a larger project. And with enough individual people having this experience, we get Yume 2kki. Which, for a game all about exploring dreams, especially one that lends itself open to symbolism and interpretation as Yume 2kki does, it means that this game is not only chock full of Urotsuki's dreams, but the dreams and experiences of everyone who made it. Because what I'm getting at here is Yume 2kki is a game about exploring the dreams of a fictional character, but it is also a game about exploring a fan base and the love that they have for a piece of art. Leading me to reason number 3 that this game rules, because it functions as a physical exploration into the collective consciousness of an internet fanbase. Yep, you heard me right, and let me explain because that was a bit of a loaded sentence. As I said, Yume 2kki isn't just a game about a girl exploring dreams. Yume 2kki is also a game where every world you explore is a different person's unique experience with the original Yume 2kki, making Yume 2kki not just a fan game, but a playable exhibition of sorts into what Yume 2kki means to its fans. See, As I said, every part of Yume 2kki is crafted by different people. Some people created entire maps, others provided character models, others contributed music, and others simply added wallpapers, which are these little drawings you get access to on Oretsuki's computer after encountering certain areas or events. And why that's important is it means that unlike other fan games, there isn't the same barrier to entry if you'd like to be part of the fun. If you're a fan of Yume 2kki and want to express yourself, you don't have to know how to code or have musical talent or experience. You could just open MS Paint and recall the most traumatic thing that one dude named Devin put you through in high school that you never properly recovered from and still prevents you from forming meaningful attachments and bonds to this day, and boom! You've created a wallpaper and are now part of Yume 2kki. Which is what I feel sets Yume 2kki apart from other ROM hacks or fan games. Anyone here can contribute, and there isn't the same guiding, centralizing force behind big decisions in the game. And because of that, it ultimately makes Yume 2kki feel more honest. Yume 2kki is a uniquely honest look at the fans who created it. And that also applies to the fact that the worlds in this game are incredibly different. Some worlds are these super detailed, labyrinthian maps with different exits and NPCs. Hell, some people even went as far as coding in first-person exploration segments that completely change the format of the game. And some worlds are just drawings. Also, they sometimes have this here.
Why are you barking?
Not all worlds here are created equally, because not everyone is capable of the same things as other creators. Some people clearly had more time to contribute and others evidently didn't. But again, that just makes Yume 2kki feel more honest. Because there's worlds here from people who have never made any sort of games before, and then there are also contributions from creators who themselves have made their own Yume 2kki fan games. There's even a room here which directly references the main characters of multiple other fan games. When I was playing Yume 2kki, what started as me just playing a game for its exploration and atmosphere transformed into me feeling like I was watching a community effort acknowledging itself. Each world was not only a representation of people's love for the original Yume 2kki, but it was a collective celebration of everyone who had banded together on the early internet and bonded over this weird set of games, with Yume 2kki being the largest physical lens to view that celebration. Which, frankly, I was not expecting when I first started playing this game again. But that's the thing about Yume 2kki. That's just my interpretation. Maybe you'd get something out of it if you played it yourself. Which is pretty cool. Hey, so I was gonna do a little graphic for this little wrapping up segment, but something really important happened. So a couple of nights ago, I was about to get to sleep, and then an image of Pharrell Williams with his face as a bird just randomly popped into my head. So I just wanted to show you Pharrell Williams real quick, just to let you know. Okay, thank you. Yeah, look, you should play Yume 2kki. It's phenomenal. Now, if you'd like to start playing the game yourself, I've left a link to the Yume 2kki wiki in the description, which is all the installation information and guides on maps and effects. It's been a great help for me making this video, and the folks over there really did a great job compiling everything. Also in the description, I've left a link to the opening track to the self-titled Electric Light Orchestra album. Just a quick piece of advice though if you do end up playing the game. While there's 1,000,001 things to see here, I wouldn't recommend binging this game for hours on end. Between interesting worlds, there are periods of downtime and getting lost, which can definitely feel a little sludgy if you're playing this non-stop. For this video, I would just pick up the game for 30 to 40 minutes at a time, and that was perfect for me. And what a time it was. I really got a lot out of this game, and the script for this video honestly changed about 6 times during the making of it, because the more I played, the more things just seemed to pop out to me.
Dude, this video literally took me so long to make that I got glasses, moved countries, and lost 7 kilos in the making of it. Wow.
And the reason for that is simple. I kept playing Yume 2kki, and I kept finding new things to love, and a greater need to elaborate on just how this game made me feel. But I'll leave you on this. The song I've just transitioned to was from a direct recording I did from the library world, where for a brief moment, instead of playing, I just sat and existed with what someone had created for me to experience. This is such an amazing track. Fuck, dude, I wish pianos were real. And that's why you should play Yume 2kki. Thanks for watching. Now, look, I don't actually truthfully expect anyone to have reached this point in the video. I haven't uploaded in like 4 months, but if you have, I'd suggest you stick around, because my name's Elias, and I'm about to make the best damn videos that this platform has ever seen, okay?
And that is not a promise, okay? That is a threat.
Yeah, what he said, okay? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video today. Thanks to you all, I can shed.